haunted places have a story to tell. It can be tragic, it can be scary, and it can be very dangerous. This is Colin Browen, and these are the Paranormal Files.
So, it's pretty obvious in America nowadays. Oh, there's a wasp on the microphone. Jesus, that thing's scary.
If you hear any buzzing.
What do we do? Oh, Jesus.
He's fine. Yeah, it's okay. Look, he's right. That's all right. He's not hurting anybody. He's okay. Where'd he go?
Okay.
He just came right at me, man.
It's pretty obvious that Confederate monuments are a bit stigmatized in America nowadays, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, obviously it is a bit problematic when these monuments that were built, a lot of times in the segregationist eras, are constructed in public. A lot of times they're meant to fearmonger, you know?
Oh, yeah.
How do you even deal with that history? How do you go about preventing future racism and whatnot?
Not like this.
It just makes me wonder. I've seen a lot of weird Confederate monuments. What is the biggest Confederate monument in the United States?
I don't know.
Well, actually, I do know. It's, we're staring at it right now. Interesting. Our journey into seeking the spirits of the South both begins and ends here at Stone Mountain in Georgia, a highly controversial sculpture known as America's largest Confederate monument. There have been many anti-Stone Mountain protests over the years, but nonetheless, regardless of how many people disagree with what the mountain represents, there it sits in all of its 820 feet of glory. The enormous rock relief sculpture found on the mountain depicts a scene of men on horseback, specifically Confederate leaders Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson. Now you may be asking yourself, this monument is huge, but what makes it different or more controversial than the others found in and around Georgia? Well, this story is dark. Back in 1914, a woman named Mrs. Helen C. Plain, a charter member of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, wanted a monument erected to the Confederacy on or near Stone Mountain, and a plan was hatched to carve the monument directly into the side of the mountain. It should be noted that at the time, Stone Mountain was owned by a man named Sam Venable, an active and powerful member of the Ku Klux Klan. In 1914, a year after the plan was proposed to turn Stone Mountain into a memorial, the Ku Klux Klan held a grand ceremony on top of the mountain. That ceremony, led by a preacher named William J. Simmons, who would eventually become the leader of the entire Ku Klux Klan, was meant to represent the rebirth of the group in its second incarnation. The group of members on the mountain that night included two elderly members of the original Klan. As part of the group's ceremony, they set up on the summit an altar covered with a flag, opened a Bible, and burned a 16-foot cross. To sum this up, the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan literally took place on top of Stone Mountain before the monument was even created. Now, remember the woman, Helen Plain, who I told you fought to get the Stone Mountain Confederate Memorial created? Well, she and many of the other supporters of the project had very close Klan associations, and she even told sculptors that she wanted Klansmen to be depicted in the carving on the mountain. She stated at one time in writing that the Klan, quote-unquote, saved us from Negro domination and carpetbag rule. That is just incredibly disgusting to read. But as we continue on, as you can already tell, Stone Mountain was a symbol of white supremacy and racism far before the carving of Confederates on its side was completed. But the dark history of this place is still far from over. It was in the 1910s when Helen Plain chose a man named Gutzon Borglum to lead the project. Gutzon had joined the KKK for their cross-burning ceremony atop the mountain, and in the past had spewed some pretty dark racist rhetoric against everyone from Native Americans to Jewish people. Gutzon didn't really get along with the people he was working on the project with, and it moved slowly. Almost a decade after the project began, Gutzon was fired, and after finding this out, he took an axe and destroyed all of the models and designs that he had made for the project. Authorities in Georgia attempted to capture and arrest Gutzon, but he fled to another state. A few years later, and this is shocking, Gutzon Borglum would go on to be the man that created Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. It's absolutely insane that he created one of America's most recognizable monuments and was such a trash person. They definitely don't tell you that he was in the KKK and the Mount Rushmore Museum. Anyways, construction of the Stone Mountain Monument stopped in 1928, and it wasn't until 1941 when the segregationist governor of Georgia got work started again. But it was quickly halted once again as the U.S. got involved in World War II. In 1958, segregationist Governor Marvin Griffin was elected to office. While Marvin ran for governor, he told constituents that he planned to uphold segregation in the wake of Brown v. Board of Education, and that he would finally finish Stone Mountain. Wow. So, after being elected, Marvin pushed the Georgia legislature to approve a measure to purchase Stone Mountain at a price of $1.125 million. The Confederate carving was dedicated in 1970, and the work on the monument was finished in 1972. Now, you may be thinking, how could this get any worse? Well, it does. Did you know that Stone Mountain is actually a theme park and resort? Stone Mountain Park, which shockingly is Georgia's most visited tourist attraction, officially opened on April 14, 1965. 100 years to the day of Lincoln's assassination. Ouch. When it was initially opened, Stone Mountain Park grew into a neo-Confederate theme park, complete with a plantation house, whitewashed versions of antebellum life, and a Gone with the Wind museum. While a lot of these features were eventually removed from the park, there are still remnants of this subtle racism found throughout the property. To this day, 4 flags of the Confederacy are flown at the park, and the Stone Mountain Memorial Lawn, according to officials from the park, contains 13 terraces, one for each Confederate state. Each terrace flies the flag that the state flew as a member of the Confederacy. One can't help but think, what the hell were they thinking when they visit Stone Mountain? But this place, although important to our story, was not the focus of our trip to Georgia. Our real mission was to find and communicate with the spirits of the South. And so Jeff and I headed off for our terrifying night at the Kennesaw House in Georgia.
Trying to get to the Kennesaw House. It's already been stressful as just trying to get there. There it is, right there. We physically can't get there.
Just have a big ass train come by. Huh?
Look at this. You guys know the joke about trains. We can't even get across the street.
Been going on and on.
We're just trying to get right there. Look at this. What the hell is up with this?
These are big cars, man. These are like about double the size of our cars back home.
Jeez. This thing, it just will not end. We've been here like 5 minutes. Look at it. What are the odds, man? What are the odds with our channel?
Well, we're supposed to be here at, what, 4:30 for this girl that said I can only stay till 5. And we couldn't even find a damn parking spot. Back around, and then there it is. The museum, and we can't get across the damn tracks. Now there's the end down there.
Oh, feels so good, baby.
77 out though, man. It's gonna be a spooky night.
I'm ready.
Cars are gonna go right by us.
Freedom.
Let's go.
Now how the hell do we get in?
Hi guys, I am Krista McKay, the collections manager here at the Marietta Museum of History. Really quick before we go around, I want to just give you an idea of what a collections manager does. So what I do is handle all the artifacts here in the museum that we're going to be seeing. The other things that you won't be able to see are on our 3rd floor, which is our storage space, and unfortunately that's off limits to anybody who's not on staff. So sorry about that, but we'll go through the museum really quick. We are in what we call our home life gallery, so kind of an overview of what life was like in Marietta and Cobb County. Marietta was founded in 1834. Cobb County was founded in 1832. The building that we're in, which I'll talk about more in one of our last spaces, was built in 1845. And you can see, like, we've got different areas. We've got our music boxes. We've got an area devoted to Alice McClellan Burney. If you were a kid who had mom or dad involved in the PTA, she was born here and she was a co-founder of the PTA. So we've got a lot of national storylines here for Marietta. We've got all of these great things that we'd like to tell story-wise in the museum. We always have permanent exhibits And then we have temporary ones as well. Marietta is what we would call the county seat to Cobb County. So this is where all judicial and legislative things happen. And we've got all these great artifacts from one of our old courthouses. We have a file cabinet that was actually made by convict labor. And then if you guys can see right here with this cool little desk, when they decided to expand the courthouse, instead of just building more spaces, they took and put a wall down every courtroom. And instead of buying new desks, they took every desk and cut them in half. So you've got this flat part right here that would go against the wall. Be very economical, which I love. When you make your way through into our museum, we have our military gallery. Now, I will say this, this is the room, ironically enough, actually I would say one of two rooms. One room that a lot of people tend to get feelings from. So if you're sensitive and you come here, this would be kind of the room you might want to go in. But it's kind of ironic that people get a lot of vibes from this room, because this room actually wasn't put in until 1979. So it's not as old as the building itself. I've had people say it's not necessarily because of the room, it's because of all the uniforms and the people who wore it, you know, like that lingering effect. We go from Civil War all the way up to present day. We don't do American Revolution because it wasn't something Cobb County's history. So that's what we really start with, is the Civil War. Marietta was actually, I mean, you're thinking, okay, we're in Georgia, so it's a Confederate stronghold, but we were Confederate occupied all the way up until 1864, when the Union Army came in and occupied not only Marietta Square, but even this building. So we kind of go all the way through. From Civil War, you can see all of our different artillery. And one cool weapon I wanted to point out was this Joe Brown pike. So it's not a gun, but it's a weapon to help keep the cavalry at bay, so those on horses, and it's got a retractable blade. That blade is still pretty sharp, and we actually have cut ourselves on it if we're not very careful. I know, you wouldn't think it's sharp being 150 plus years old, but it still is. World War II is very important for Marietta in that we had the Bell aircraft plants. We were building B-29s here. From 1943 all the way into 1945, we built over 665 airplanes. And you can see all these different military uniforms from local men who fought. That's what we try and do, is make sure that we have local uniforms on display. Like I said, this room, this space, this paranormal activity tends to be this room, and then the last room we go into. This room right here is actually what used to be our old office spaces. And so it's our education room, but again, with COVID right now, we've had to put everything behind the walls. You guys will see the transition here is where you transition from the newer part back to the older part. So this is our general history gallery, kind of do the history of Marietta, Cobb County in a nutshell. And we're actually going to go the opposite way right now. As I mentioned in the beginning, Marietta was founded in 1834, Cobb County is in 1832. Native Americans were here first with the Creek and the Cherokee Indians. What really makes Marietta grow is the railroad. The trains go by consistently. They are not passenger trains, they are strictly cargo, and there's no telling what time of day they'll come through. They just come through when they come through. Marietta has got a lot of different businesses. I've talked about Bell Aircraft very briefly. One business that's really kind of our landmark is, this is a board game called The Big Chicken. The Big Chicken is a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it was originally built in the 1960s. It's a Johnny Reb's Chuck and Shake. And when Colonel Sanders heard about it, he bought it, and it still exists. They did a $2 million renovation. Its beak moves, its eye moves. So it's a huge thing here in Marietta, and it's always, all roads lead to the Big Chicken. So, and it's a directional marker. You go a mile north or a mile west or whatever with the Big Chicken. These guys right here are actually one large totem pole, but since our ceilings aren't high enough, we've got these two pieces, and it's a Boy Scout created totem pole. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have a big history here as well. One of our first troops for Boy Scouts was started in 1911, and Boy Scouts themselves were started in 1910, so we've had a really long history with the Scouts. We're gonna make our way over towards our last space, because this last room, as I mentioned before, we're kind of in between temporary exhibits right now in one area. But this last room we've recreated to mimic what this building was like as a hotel during the Civil War. So I mentioned before, this building was built in 1845, and it started as a cotton warehouse. In 1855, it was bought and purchased and turned into the Fletcher House Hotel. Today, on the outside, it's called the Kennesaw House, but we mean it as a house like a hotel, not a personal home. Originally, it had 4 floors. It has 3 floors now. And this front corner room was the room that was used in 1862 for the beginning of the Great Locomotive Chase. A year into the Civil War in 1862, the idea was Union soldiers would come down here dressed as civilians, they're spies. The idea of stealing a train, taking all the railroad tracks up, and making their way to Chattanooga. This is a very shortened version of this story. And so they weren't successful in that endeavor. If you guys want to learn more about it, there's books. There's even a Walt Disney movie, which is a little bit exaggerated. But the men who stole the train, called the General, they're called Andrews Raiders, and they were the first men to receive what is now the Congressional Medal of Honor. But this room, outside of the military gallery, is the other room that I've had people come through and have feelings and have other things happen. So again, like I said, if you're sensitive and you come here, this is the other room that people have gotten, strange and unusual occurrences from. I personally have never had any, but again, since this is an older part of the museum and an older part of the building, it doesn't surprise me that it has some sort of connectivity to some people. If you guys come by, you can always ask us. We're open 10 to 4, but you never know. If you're really good, maybe we'll let you come in on another time, but you'd have to book it with us.
So can we talk about the hospital, it being a hospital?
Yes, absolutely. So during the Civil War, it was first a Confederate hospital. Many buildings around the square were hospitals. And for us, it was not only a hospital, but it was also a morgue. But we do know, and actually what I can do for you right now is show you that, excuse the sofa right there, but if you want to walk this way, this is the original staircase to the building. So this would have been here during the Civil War. It does not go up to the 3rd floor anymore. When they rehabbed in '79, they took that away. So imagine doctors and nurses during the Civil War going up and down these stairs. So we were a hospital. We were called Ford's Hospital, F-O-A-R-D, and that was the one who was overseeing the whole running of this building. It was also still operating as a hotel as well. So you could be a hotel guest, hopefully not a hospital guest.
Interesting.
So yeah, and our location being right out front for the railroad tracks made us a perfect spot to be a hospital because it was very easy to get supplies in and out and the wounded in and out.
And what kind of paranormal activity do people consistently report in here? What's the range?
You get a lot of people who get the cold spots, like they'll be walking, because if you walk through, our rooms do definitely have areas that are colder or warmer than the others. You could chalk it up to HVAC, but who knows, it could be something else. Some other people have had whispers. Some people have said smells like burning or popcorn, and nobody's made any popcorn. We did have one person who's, that whole kind of corner of their eye, they thought somebody was there and there was nobody there. We've heard stories of people hearing, not that this wouldn't be a good example, but the idea of a ring hitting on either this banister or a metal banister that we have in the fire escape. So, but nobody was in there as well. Or the elevator doors just mysteriously opening and closing and nobody's getting off or on and nobody's even pushed the button. The big story that you do hear though is there's a story out there about the elevator going down to the basement and it opening, and there was this gruesome hospital surgery scene. While I don't discount that a person could have seen something, the elevator doesn't go to the basement. So they might have just gone to the 1st floor. So just an FYI, if you want to take the elevator to the basement, it's not possible. There's no basement on that side where there's an elevator.
Interesting.
So yeah.
So you think that the hauntings would stem from the hospital days?
I mean, there are some that say that, but this building was a hotel pretty much up until 1979. So thinking about the number of people that were in this building from 1855 to 1979, either staying a night. There were also numerous businesses. There were doctors who would have their office space in here. So if you had a doctor in here, I've never heard of a story, but you never know. Maybe the doctor had a patient that died while here or something like that, but not just specifically Civil War. That tends to be the biggest story. If we had a number of people die in this building, I don't think it would be just from the Civil War. It could have been anything for that long period.
Are there any other recorded deaths besides the hospital deaths?
There was a story that there was after the war, because this building used to have a dining room too, since it was a hotel, that somebody came in and shot at somebody in the dining room, and he later died of his wounds. But I don't know if the death actually happened in here, but the shooting happened in here.
Interesting.
Again, I've been in this building all hours of the day and night, but I'm not one that necessarily subscribes to paranormal activity. So I always say, since I don't, they're not going to come out and talk to me unless I really made somebody mad. But anybody who has, I don't discount.
So is there a specific object or anything in here that people have reported?
I've never heard of anything specifically. Like I said, people in the military gallery, people definitely get feelings from some of the military uniforms. Those uniforms were given to us. There's people that they just get a feeling. And then also those guns. I don't know the full history of every single gun. So who knows? One of those guns could have very easily, I mean, odds are, possibly killed somebody. So that room, like I said, tends to have the most, outside of the Raiders room that we call it, those two spots tend to have the most activity from people who come in. Something happens in those two rooms. I don't know what it is.
Awesome. Any final thoughts? Anything?
Well, if you are ever in Marietta and you want to come see the museum, if we aren't open, there's also a ghost tour company that does, and they stop outside our museum and they tell a lot of the stories as well. So you can, and also they go around Marietta telling more. So Marietta definitely has a paranormal presence that, I think people would like to explore and learn more about. So
awesome.
Come visit us.
Cool.
So this is the Kennesaw battlefield in Kennesaw, Georgia, right outside of Marietta. The Kennesaw House is the location that we'll be at later in this video investigating for paranormal activity. It used to be a Civil War hospital for the Confederacy. But in places like this, you can't help but think about how people handle death on such a mass scale. I mean, you got joggers out here, you got people driving through to work, you got FedEx trucks rolling by, and you can't help but think about the many people that lost their lives on this land. Some of them Confederates, some of them Union. It's interesting. Let's walk up here. I don't know what the hell that little thing is up there. And like I said, I always think about when you come to places like this, just the idea that hundreds of years ago, not even 150 really or so years ago, there were men all in this area shooting guns at each other, killing each other, committing mass murder.
Bayoneting each other. Brutal. Cannonballs.
And nowadays, people just drive by on their way to pick up their kids from the basketball game. So. It's a beautiful place for a hike. Yeah, and what I was researching yesterday, it was just talking about how oftentimes in the Civil War and different wars in America, when people were killed, a lot of times the bodies were exhumed and brought to be buried in different wartime cemeteries. But in a battlefield like this, there's a potential for hundreds of soldiers to be buried in unmarked graves, even right here, that were never found or exhumed.
Well, it's just a field. Yeah. Could easily be people buried there.
It is kind of lumpy too.
Well. Fought.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right here.
And now it's just like walking trails, peace. There's multi-million dollar homes all over through here. And yeah.
Bizarre.
It goes from a war and bloody carnage to swimming pools and movie stars. Yeah.
Guess it's time to move on.
Just wanted to show you guys the Kennesaw battlefield before we go to the Kennesaw house, because not only is it the namesake, but that's like the deepest history around here is the battle. And it took place all throughout this area, and especially deep down there. There's some crazy stories from this battle.
It was strange driving through that neighborhood on the outskirts of the battlefield, just thinking about the fact that these opulent homes were probably built on land covered in blood that once was home to many bodies on both sides of the fight. But that fearful thought, that concept that death is all around, was nothing compared to the frights that we had in store for us that night at the haunted Kennesaw house in Marietta, Georgia.
What's up, everybody? So tonight we are in Marietta, Georgia at one of the most famous haunted locations in the entire Peach State, the Kennesaw House. This building was not only a hotel for decades, it was also a hospital during the Civil War. You've got this history of people dying. You've got hotels where people are bringing their own personal energy and grief and whatever they're going through at the time into these rooms. There's a lot of interesting history here. We've heard a lot of different ghost stories ranging from seeing apparitions to hearing whispers and voices. But without further ado, this was an expensive place to rent for the night, so we're gonna head in right away and get this done, or get this rolling, I should say. And I just want to let everybody know we are wearing the masks because the government mandate states that when you're in these government buildings, you have to wear a mask. And in this building, this place is a government-owned complex, so we have to wear them tonight. So, in case you were wondering, that's why we got them on, for safety. So, let's head on into the Kennesaw house, baby.
Yeah, we said again, the activities in front of the elevators.
Yeah, she told me a ghost story about someone who came down to the first floor in the elevator and opened up, and there's a gruesome surgical scene that they saw.
Really?
Yeah.
Like now?
Yeah, like here.
Huh. Oh shoot, we need the lights on.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, so we've got a REM pod right here. We're gonna turn this bad boy on. So there's the REM pod.
The whole balls.
Over here we've got motion sensing balls and bars of light. Over here we've set up a static camera. We're gonna roll on this one right now. There you go, that's rolling. Hey everybody. Okay. Now let's go over here.
Lights are on because we're... This is the military room, so...
So here we go. That static camera is rolling. We're gonna set this EM pump over there by all the things. So here's the EM pump. We're gonna turn this on. The EM pumps that you see with the blue lights, they kick out an electromagnetic frequency, which is what EMF meters detect. So in effect, you're providing the spirits with almost a bank of energy that they can draw from to try and spur on manifestations. So we're gonna turn this REM pod on. So now that we've got all this set up, I think it's time to start investigating. You wanna go IR?
Okay, let's get going. There might be some stuff happening.
See this guy?
Yep.
What the hell happened to him?
I think you had too much moonshine.
I'm just gonna have Jeff turn off the light and we're gonna go IR. And I'm turning on this EMF meter. We're just gonna try some questions without devices at first. So we're picking up a small EMF signal here. 0.1. 0.2. Interesting. Last time when we were using this near Hell's Church, there was nothing. So, and just to point out to people online, even this amount of EMF can be considered a considerable amount of EMF in the environment. And so having a reading that's constant throughout this building could be a reason why there are hauntings, because there is this constant signal that you can, in effect, if you're a spirit, draw from. I want to start off by introducing ourselves to you guys in here. My name's Colin.
I'm Jeff.
And
We just would love to talk to you tonight and make contact with you if you're in here. We don't want to hurt you, especially if you're from the Civil War. We would love to talk to you. Can you give us a sign by maybe knocking on something or moving something? Look to your left. Can you let us know where you
The
are?
light just came on over there.
Probably because I walked.
Yeah, it's only supposed to be good for 9 feet though. That's what I don't quite understand. It's because I did that at my house and I measured 12 feet and it doesn't go off. This is like 20 feet. That's what I don't quite understand. It's because I did that at my house and I measured 12 feet and it doesn't go off. This is like 20 feet.
Let's see. Oh yeah, look, I'm not setting it off over
That's what
here.
I'm saying. That just went off.
Are you over there by those lights? Can you walk over to the sound of my voice? And we're in the military room right now. There are so many guns in here, first off. Civil War weapons, bullets, who knows?
Uniforms.
Yeah, what
People were.
what these weapons and artifacts did to people, possibly killed. Oh, 3 signal. Right over here.
What was that?
Is there somebody over here in this room with us?
Is there anyone by the elevator area? That's where we're hearing a lot of things have shown themselves. I think we should go over by there a little bit. We're coming over by you a little bit close. Oh, look
What
at
the hell?
Okay.
Look at, we were behind
We're
these
behind the case.
cases.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay. Interesting.
Thing just also, you heard that.
Okay.
0.5
Yeah.
too.
Okay. Because it's not going to go off from the side. Are you making this light turn on?
0.6 reading over here too before.
Yeah. We're just here to make contact with you. We're friendly. Just to let us know that you're here. So,
It's kind of interesting too. Like, just look at how a cell phone can affect EMF. Look at this. Look at how much EMF is in a cell phone.
it is. Went to 92 for 90 there.
That's crazy. It's kind of spooky. Where are you in the building?
There's of course a train.
Of course, there's always a train, man.
I mean, these are all cases, and this in front. These are all uniforms, like that you see. And you know, you'd think that obviously they saw a lot of battle, right? Can you hear the train outside? Just so you can show up.
Maybe you're over
Yeah,
here?
it could be in these nondescript rooms.
Is there anybody here with us in the old hospital?
These are long trains. You know?
Huge spike
Yeah.
over here. These dresses are creepy over here.
I thought so too.
Those are the old stairs.
Yeah.
So take a look at this.
Huh?
Come over here. These are the old stairs from the hospital.
Oh, cool.
And look at how they lead to nowhere.
Oh. Oh, wow. Yeah. I me go on here just a little bit. Look at that. The stairs to a ceiling.
Did you used to walk up and down these stairs? Get over here is the only place in here that has 0 EMF.
Of course.
And camera.
Oh yeah, the camera.
Not one REM pod hit, nothing. Well, there also seem to be pretty average EMF levels in here, if not a little bit elevated. I think we should do a spirit box in that room.
Okay. What was that? Almost like it came from the floor up the stairs. Shh.
Hello? That was very loud, man. Jeez. Okay. Did not expect that. If there's somebody here in the Kennesaw house, can you say hi or hello? Can you say hello or hi if you're here? I heard run. I have no idea. Can you tell us your name? Are you Dimitri?
Hey, just we've come a long ways. All I want to ask you is, if you're here, what's your name? Give me a name. Newspaper. What was in the newspaper? Your name? Were you in the newspaper? Yes or no? Do you know what our name is? Say one of our names. Say one of our names. Okay,
I feel a cold breeze over
if it's
here, by the
making
way.
a noise, just say yes. That's all. Just say yes.
Cooler right here.
Say yes. Trying to make out what this is saying. Do you live here? Hard time, I think I said. Where else do you live? I'm saying. That's the deal. I don't know. Are you in heaven or in hell? Heaven or hell?
The blast. Do you believe in God?
It's the same voice. Okay, is anybody in this room?
I think we should do a little experiment.
Okay.
You and I should both take our static cameras.
Yeah.
You should sit either over there or in here, or our
Yeah.
video cameras, and we should just sit for like 10 minutes and ask questions, because those loud noises were crazy.
Okay.
I think we should both just do
Just
that.
get it on the camera.
Yeah, like you
footage.
take your camera and I'll take my camera.
Okay.
No devices.
Where are you gonna
Those
sit?
were loud. I can sit over here in the war room if you want to sit over here.
Over here.
Yeah. Or I can sit over there if you want to sit in the war
Yeah,
room.
you already you want to sit on the floor.
So right now I'm gonna sit here. The static camera's right behind me. The hallway's here, and this creepy room is right to my left. I'm gonna sit here alone. He's gonna walk over to the war room and sit in there with the camera like this.
Yeah.
Let's just listen. Ask some questions.
Okay.
Okay,
Ready?
go for it. Head into the darkness, my friend. It's definitely creepy in here. And those noises were loud as shit right away. Like 5, 6 of them. And I keep feeling a chill right here, which is why I kind of wanted to stay here. I keep feeling something in this area. I don't know what it is, but and this guy is very creepy over here. I don't like that dude. I keep expecting him to like twist his head at me. Hello? Where are you? Can you move something around in here? And once again, just to remind everybody, it's pitch black in here. Those red lights are honestly very creepy. Are you right there in front of me? That's trippy. Even if I move down here, that doesn't go off. You can see that. Look at this one. Oh my God, it's getting closer now. Come on over here. Is that you? See, look at, once again, to the static camera. Look at, I'm moving like this, and it doesn't set that motion sensor off, so that's very bizarre that that just went off, both of them. If that is you, if you just walked over towards me, can you knock on something like that or push something over in here?
I've got a static camera, roll them there, and REM pod. Okay guys, or women, spirits, who's ever here, can you give me some kind of noise, anything? Make some lights go off. I'm just going to sit here now silently and just see if you're here. Step out and show yourself. Sir, do you have an order, sir? I am just a lowly captain. I know that you're a lieutenant general. Sir, what are my orders, sir? Oh, okay. Okay, our light, freaking our camera just died. Okay. Oh shit, and there goes that light again. Oh my god, I have definite. Goose, look at my hair. Okay, did you turn my light off over here and then turn that other one on again? I don't get what's happening. Is it because it's pointed at you? Why did you go off? What is up with this? You drained my battery already? Okay, why did you drain my battery already? This is like, just last night it lasted for, I think we had almost 2 hours. Okay, weird. Okay, it's on again. Maybe you don't want me to capture something, but let's try to start it. And the train's coming again. That's very odd. Well, okay, that light came on again over there. I think I had it on screen. And why did this go off? Why did you go off on me here? Okay, are you playing with the camera and the light? It's okay, come out. Okay, I'm wondering, this light, this camera here is still active. It turned off. It turned off by whatever forces may be. And you can see the blue light right here blinking. It's still recording, but it won't go to up front. As you can see the light blaring off of it. I'll turn on and off to show you. Off. It's on. Huh. And the light came back on again. Okay. So there's something here with this light that's pointed at that light, the camera, that you don't like, huh? Or is that your way of saying that you know that you're being recorded on here? Okay. Let's make some noise. Come on.
I get a really creepy vibe from this room all of a sudden. What the f? No way. No way. I just heard footsteps or something from over there, and I turned the camera to point at it, and that light just illuminated. And look, it's not me. I'm just trying to show that I can move any way I want, and I don't set that off. And also, now all 3 of the lights have gone off in order. 1, 2, 3, like it's getting closer to me. Cold breeze on my face again right here. I really just feel like there's somebody standing in front of me in this doorway. They keep coming towards me. It's a very eerie feeling right now, very just strange. Can you make a noise? Escape the trains, man. You can never escape the trains. this room. Hello? You make a noise and show me where you are? Just thought I saw a shadow move on the ground. The footsteps. Yeah.
Standing in front of that camera went out, right?
Yeah.
And the light came on.
Right when it happened?
Yeah, over there, facing it. And
Weird.
then and the camera it came back on. It didn't die.
What?
But it just shut off. So I showed it. And I
You want to switch spots?
sure, but yeah,
Oh, that light just went on.
yeah,
Again.
I know. It's that one light, and it will go on when you're behind a wall, or if we're talking about this camera. It's like the camera on it is right on it. See? And it also doesn't come on. I can't get it back on IR.
Weird.
Not sure why. Okay,
Why don't you go sit over there?
I'll go over there. Anything?
Yeah.
There's that light again. Okay.
I literally.
Is that the camera?
Yeah. Here it goes again.
What's happening with that light when it comes on? That's not out like that.
So you're saying when that motion light has gone on, the
Yeah, that's
camera
like,
has died?
That's like the third time, yeah. The camera died. Oh, it doesn't die. It goes off. Yeah, and I couldn't even bet. I wasn't even on the button, so how would that come on?
I was sitting over there and the farthest light came on and I moved to show people that it wasn't me.
Okay.
I asked it to come closer, then the second light came on and I was like, there's some noises, and then I was sitting there filming the hotel room
Yeah.
and I thought I heard footsteps to my right, and so I whipped the camera around, and right when I turned around, and then that light facing that direction came on.
Okay.
So
Well, I think I think maybe they're playing with our cameras, and like that light facing directly to the camera. It comes on, the camera powers off, but it powers back on again. You can power it back on.
weird.
So I'll go back over here.
So Jeff and I have now switched spots. I am in the war room and he's over where I was just sitting. I'm gonna see what's going on in this room.
Camera down here, guys. Okay, now. I was thinking about maybe breaking out like the Oculus.
Yeah, let's do the Ovilus. Yeah, well, we just noticed that the EM pump is
I'm gonna turn
dead.
this off.
It's a brand new battery.
Okay, that's brand new, and the camera that went off is I don't know. It's not cold in here, you know. There's no reason for
It's
this.
hot in here, thinking.
What do you think? Should we go in there?
Yeah.
We're going to come into the military room, okay? Is there anything related to the military, once we come in here, that you can say on this box? Equation system. Well, you know, who knows what that could mean. Again, anything with the military could you say into this box right here? It has a weak signal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like they're not trying to do anything. Let's walk over where I got more activity. Flowers? What do you mean by that?
Kind of eerie, they got the Nazi stuff.
Yeah, well they do. 60 years. You know, almost like a signal. Here's a signal radio. Is that radio speech?
It's like sweaty.
Jeez. Well, you've got, but you have a really heavy. And you got blue jeans.
Reveal. Are you going to reveal yourself to us? I'm going to go IR. If we turn the lights out, will you show yourself to us? Show us where you are?
I mean, come on.
Alignment.
I mean, look at all these revolvers and rifles. My gosh. There's had to be been a lot of killing with all these weapons.
Where are you in this building right now? Did you die in the Civil War hospital? Were you a Confederate?
I felt something in here earlier with the light going on the camera and stuff, you know?
It's like dead now. Though.
Yeah, it just seems like, again, I don't know, I hate to say it, but it's like, it seems old to me, you know?
This thing isn't giving us any responses either.
This is the same EMF pump as the other one that died a while back. This thing is just, you know, you can hear it. I mean, this is still...
And they're both new batteries, so the other one shouldn't have died.
Came out of the same pack.
And the other area was more active, too.
Who knows? And this, see, this works. It just hasn't gone off. But again, like you said, the fact that when it does really go crazy, you know,
Something's happening.
I mean, it really, it makes me much more of a believer. Have anything left? Okay. You know?
So Jeff's got the SLS camera, which is the Kinect. Basically, it tracks stick figures. It's meant to track human figures for Xbox software, but paranormal researchers use it to try to pick up on possible entities in the environment. That we've had some really weird responses with this thing before, so we're gonna go through here and see if we can pick anything up.
Okay, anybody in here, now's the time to kind of show yourself.
I felt stuff towards the beginning, but I just feel like the energy in this building has just kind of left completely. I don't feel anything at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. It's like really, really quiet. You know? Okay, we're gonna leave pretty quick here. So, I mean, if you want to, you know that you're here. I mean, now's the time. Now's the time to show yourself. I mean, it's going to be kind of like an episode you'll see coming up where you have that from the ceiling. I mean, that's pretty compelling, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing for it to map out to, and it's like free space. And here, you know, you've got all this stuff, and we're not getting even a hit. You know, so I think we're going to wrap this up on this.
Yeah.
Okay?
So to wrap up this investigation, we've been here for hours now. It's really hot. I'm sweating profusely, and we're very uncomfortable. We were filming last night at Hell's Church, first night at the 1842 Inn. Tomorrow we got the Asylum, then Corpsewood Manor. One of the main ghost stories of this place is that somebody took this elevator right here down to the first floor, and when the doors opened up, they saw a surgical scene, somebody being operated on. They just went into that. So I want to turn the spirit box on in the elevator and go up and down between the floors and just see if we can hear anything. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God, that scared the hell out of me.
So are you gonna just sit here first, or are you
Let's just go to the first floor and then up.
Okay, gotta turn on.
Go to the spirit box in a second. First, let's just open up and see if there's any noise.
Okay. I sure wish I saw a surgical suite.
Okay. Oh, good. Let's go back up to 2.
I would like to like go out to like the Twilight Zone, you know. Not
Right.
Like, wow.
Come on. Surgery. Oh, jeez.
You guys okay?
Yeah, we're just doing an experiment in the elevator.
Okay. Alright.
Yep.
Sorry.
Back up,
It's
baby.
my 2 little kids.
Come on, show me the ghosts. Hello?
But you know, I mean, it doesn't say that it couldn't have happened. I mean, just so. This is where most everything was seen, but yeah, what is that? What is that? Oh, shh, shh. What would that be? A voice.
Here, why don't you sit up here and see if that was part of the elevator coming up? So you can knock it out.
But like a woman's voice.
Just listen.
Oh, no, here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the elevator.
It's the elevator.
It's the elevator. There's a voice box back there.
Anybody that's here in the Kennesaw House, if you were a Confederate, this is your last chance. Do you have anything to say to us? Anything left to do? Beginning of the night, it was active,
Yeah.
but now it just feels, I feel completely comfortable.
Okay, we have 2 REM pods, not one hit. Not one hit in REM pods. And we did about, you know, showed a little bit of the SOS, but I did about a little over an hour. Yep. Some noise over there. Okay.
I know for a fact, though, I'm going to cut one of the spirit box sessions we did because there was not a single voice. It was just static. Ovulus, we didn't get anything. Even last night, evil broken portal at Hell's Church. The Ovulus tonight, nothing.
Last night there was some bad
Satan,
evil energy
our
type
devil,
stuff there.
yeah. And this is just, I don't know, it's kind of empty, you know?
Right.
But sometimes that's how it is with the paranormal. And that's not discounting people's experiences. That's just, this is our own. That's just the way it goes, man. But at least you know you're watching the real
You
shit
said
here.
that's the way it goes, man.
That's the way it goes,
Those
man.
men and what?
I'm tired as hell.
Okay.
I want to say goodbye to the captain over here.
Do we still have our device running?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that is. Okay, so how does this one keep going, bud? Right? And then the other one died again. I don't get it.
All right, well, this isn't the end of the episode, but let's call it a wrap on Kennesaw now. So we left the Kennesaw house with more questions than answers. Why was this place known as one of the most haunted spots in Georgia? It's something that you have to consider when you investigate the paranormal. Why is it not more frequent? If so many people have had experiences at a certain location and it's ranked consistently as a place that has consistent activity, why is it not always consistent? But that's just something I'll never have an answer to. But my journey in exploring these questions didn't end there in Georgia. When I got back to Austin, I wanted to explore a little bit more of the Confederate history that's embedded in our society. I was a student at the University of Texas at Austin, and in the mall of the campus, what I'm showing you right here, these are podiums where these statues used to stand and the student body was forced to walk by them every day. It was Robert E. Lee. They had a statue of Jefferson Davis. These statues were overlooking the campus. John H. Reagan, he was a famous Confederate. This is where Jefferson Davis used to be. I was a student when he was still there and he got removed. But it just goes to show that even places that consider themselves liberal, they only got rid of Confederate insignia and memorials a couple of years ago, I think 2017. I also got to add, I don't know why the hell George Washington is on campus, but he's still there. Now, if you want to talk about Confederate memorials in Austin, you got to consider that Austin is a very liberal city. But in front of the state capitol, there are still 3 huge Confederate memorials. Right here, this is the first memorial that I filmed. You can see the CSA for the Confederate States of America. There's the stars and bars, the flag, and dedicated to Robert E. Lee and Jefferson Davis. As you continue walking throughout this area, you come across a lot of these different memorials, including this main Confederate memorial right here dedicated to the Confederate dead, which is actually right in front of the Capitol building. I can only imagine the feeling that so many people from Texas get when they come to the Capitol and are forced to look at this memorial. A lot of people whose ancestors may have died in the slavery system, or people whose ancestors died as a Union soldier. And as you watch this video, there's one thing that I want to remind or educate you guys about. It's the fact that a lot of these memorials were not erected right after the Civil War. They weren't built in the 1860s and 70s. A lot of these memorials and monuments were actually built in the 50s and 60s, the 1950s and 60s. In the era of desegregation, these were monuments dedicated to white nationalism and white supremacy that were erected to suppress the black vote and essentially scare people. It's sad.
My name is Maria.
So what do you guys think about the Confederate monuments that are here at the Capitol?
I think they should just take them down because it's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, it's just disrespectful. Like seeing just like that first statue as you walk in, like it's just plain disrespect, and we shouldn't. I don't know why some people just come here and like admire these statues when it shouldn't. It's just like it gives a representation that like Texas is still proud of what they did. And honestly, like it's just something that like living here, it's just not something that like represent like Austin or Texas in general. We shouldn't just have here anymore. It's just plain disrespect.
What do you think you would do with the monument? Like, do you take it down? Do you put it in a museum? Do you have any idea? Like, what do you do?
Honestly, just demolishing it. It's just, it has no good value to it. There's a lot of great other things that the U.S. has done and stuff. Well, sometimes. But these statues are not.
Now, obviously, you guys know that I'm pretty progressive in my beliefs, and I don't stand for Confederate memorials and monuments being out in public. I think they have a place, and that's in museums for history. But I decided to invite someone out to speak on the behalf of the people who believe in the Confederate monuments. I wanted to know, to get to the bottom of why people fight so hard to keep these damn things up when there's such a problem in society. So I decided to invite out Marshall Davis of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I met him at the Texas State Cemetery in the Confederate graveyard area and asked him his opinions on why he believes these statues should be kept up.
I'm Marshall Davis. I'm with the Sons of Confederate Veterans here in Texas. I was raised in Virginia. My Confederate ancestors all fought with the Confederate Army from Virginia. In the early 1900s, as Confederate veterans were passing away, at a convention of Confederate veterans, Stephen Lee gave a charge to the Sons of Confederate Veterans to preserve and protect the good name of the Confederate soldier. To us has been given the task to preserve his good name and see that the true history of the South is presented to future generations.
And most of the people, would you say, who do fight for their preservation of the monuments and everything, they have relatives that were in the Confederate Army?
To be in the Sons of the Confederate Veterans, you must have an ancestor who fought either with the Confederate Army, Navy, or was an officer in those organizations. Here in Austin and in Texas, there are monuments around the state of Texas in cemeteries and on county courthouses to honor the men who fought nobly and bravely for their state and for their country. One of my favorites certainly is the main Confederate monument on the south lawn of the Texas Capitol. It is a four-sided monument and has a list of all of the battles that Texas Confederate soldiers fought in. The three sides are the different battles, different engagements that Confederates from Texas fought in. The fourth is a quote from the Confederate veterans who erected that monument in the 1920s about how these men fought for states' rights that were guaranteed under the Constitution, and they were spurred on by the Revolutionary War, who the American colonists fought to remove themselves from a tyrannical England. One of the spirits and one of the motivators for the Confederate cause was a similar cause to remove themselves from the tyrannical overgovernment of Washington, D.C.
So what's the main goal of the organization? Is it monument building? Is it...
Our main goal is to preserve the history of the South and the true meaning of what the Confederate experiment was. We have gone into schools and done living history where we explain to the school kids not only the soldier, but what the women wore in the 1860s in the South, and the different aspects of Southern life in the 1860s when the South was ravaged by an invading army. For instance, chicory is real popular in the South, especially New Orleans, because the North blockaded the ports, and so no coffee could get in. So the Southerners had to resort to what was around, and that was chicory, and that's one piece of the war that still survives today is the chicory and the coffee. So not just in monuments, but in many aspects, we will speak to the legislature about bills to preserve Confederate history and the different aspects of keeping that part of the American history alive. Well, with many current events, the Confederate cause and all things Confederate have been collateral damage as the nation deals with racism. And as a extension of that, the monuments in Austin have been damaged, have been graffitied around the South and around the country. Monuments to Confederate heroes and other American heroes have been defaced or destroyed.
Oh, let's let this.
Yes.
There you go. As always, gotta get that on camera too, because people are gonna laugh at that.
In Oakwood Cemetery in central Austin, there are over 400 Confederate soldiers buried in the grounds of Oakwood Cemetery. A few years ago, the Sons of Confederate Veterans raised funds and erected a monument to those men to honor their service to the Confederacy. In recent events, specifically the George Floyd murder, there was a lot of protest in Austin around the police station, and those protests spilled into East Austin. And our monument was first graffitied with spray paint and then later damaged with sledgehammers. So we have had to cover the monument to protect it from any further damage.
Man, they're pouring them out of bird.
Jesus. Airplane number 2. You gotta wait 10, 15 seconds. To you guys, it's not about racism having these monuments up, it's about your families, correct?
Correct.
And so what would you say to people who want the monuments removed? What's the reasoning behind keeping them up?
Well, the main reason to leave the monuments up is to invite discussion and education about the men who are honored by these monuments and the cause that the monuments represent. If all those monuments are gone, then there will be little chance to have any discussions about states' rights, home rule, self-government, and other items that were brought up in the war between the states by the Confederacy. I think it's a visit to any cemetery with Confederates. As we stand here in the Confederate section in the Texas State Cemetery in Austin, each one of these graves that we're standing amongst are monuments to men who fought for their country and for their state. One comparison I've heard is comparing the Confederate soldier's return and how he is thought of today with Vietnam U.S. soldiers who returned from Vietnam. That was an unpopular war, and those men were vilified, they were hated, they were spit upon, and they were just serving their country. Many drafted, and they were serving a country that they were born in, and although the war was unpopular, those men didn't create that war. And I think a comparison can be made to all these men that are buried here in the cemetery, that they fought nobly and bravely. Whether the war was then popular or is now popular, that does not change the fact that these men fought an arduous war in the 1860s with far less resources than our soldiers have today, and should be respected, and their memories preserved. The men that are buried here and throughout Confederate cemeteries throughout the South had no control over whether the South seceded. Very few were slave owners. Less than 25% of the Confederate soldiers were actual slave owners. So these men were drafted to defend what they felt was their homeland. There's, in the movie Gettysburg, the Union soldiers capture a Confederate private and ask him, "Why are you fighting this war?" And his answer was, "Because you're here."
So the day after our investigation at the Kennesaw House, Jeff stayed back at the hotel and I took a drive to visit the second largest Confederate cemetery in the United States. It is in Marietta and it is a sombering sight. It's really strange when you go there because you think of the Confederates as kind of the bad guys in American history. They were the ones that tried to secede, to leave the United States essentially. But when you're there in this Confederate cemetery, this place of honor for these ancestors, you really have a feeling of, I don't know, almost melancholy, because seeing all those tombstones is kind of just a reminder that no matter what, these were all people and they all died. Thousands of bodies are buried here, and even though I don't agree with a single thing these people stood for in the war, it's still, you know, just a weird, sad sight to see the graves of so many soldiers that died for a cause that essentially was not even in their hands. It was more so in the hands of the politicians leading them to their slaughter. And so we arrive back at Stone Mountain, that damn cursed rock filled with KKK history and embedded with racism.
Interesting. So, at the end of the day, you can't take down or remove a Confederate cemetery, obviously. But what do you do with the monuments? Do you put them into museums? What do you think?
Well, I think it's part of history, and this is a hard one to put anywhere. But yeah, I don't know what else. I really don't have the best answer. I don't know.
Personally, I think that just because of the manner in which a lot of these monuments were constructed, if you want to keep them, put them in a museum. But with this monument, since the KKK was basically reborn on top of this mountain, this one's a little bit more dark than the others.
Yeah, true. But what do you do with this? I mean, how do you remove a mountain?
You know, I have an idea.
To actually get on the wall.
You ready?
Light them up!